Hello friends, welcome to English Minds. Today we will discuss on John Milton's life and works. Where was John Milton born? Option A. London. December 1608. Breed Street, London. In which year was John Milton born? Option A. Who was John Milton's father? Option B. John Milton. Which university did Milton attend? Option B. Cambridge University. Milton attended Christ College, Cambridge from 1625 to 1632. Received BA and MA degree. What was the name of first wife of John Milton? Option A. Mary Powell. Mary Powell Milton married in 1642. What was the reason for Milton's divorce from his first wife? Personally incompatibility. Option B. Mary Powell left Milton shortly after his marriage. What was the occupation of Milton's father? Option C. Musician. When did Milton lose his eyesight? 1652. Milton became completely blind 1652 due to glaucoma. Which political event did Milton actively support? The English Civil War. Milton supported the parliamentarians against King Charles I, allying himself with the Republican cause. What was Milton's role during the Commonwealth period? Secretary for Foreign Tongues. Milton was responsible for translating official documents and writing defenses for the Commonwealth government. What was the subject matter of Milton's pamphlet, The Tenure of Kings and Magistrates? Option C. The authority of kings and magistrates. Milton defended the people's right to dispose and execute tyrannical rulers. Which monarch was restored to the throne after the Civil War? Option B, Charles II. The Restoration in 1660. Restoration period. The Restoration in 1660 brought Charles II back to power after the collapse of the Commonwealth. What significant life event occurred in Milton's in 1660? Option C, the return of monarchy. The return of monarchy, the restoration led to Milton's political downfall and near execution. Where did Milton travel for his education? Option A, Italy. Milton toured Italy in the late 1630, meeting scholars including Galileo. Who was John Milton's second wife? Elizabeth Minsul. Elizabeth Minsul, second wife. Mary Powell, first wife. Sixteen hundred 63, and first married first 1642, second 1663. What was Milton's stance on divorce? He supported divorce as a legal right for both men and women. Which of Milton's works was published while he was still married to his first wife? Aeropagitica, Freedom of Press, 1644. Aeropagitica is a speech advocating free speech and against censorship. Which event in Milton's life made him focus on writing political and religious tract? Option A, the English Civil War. The political climate during the Civil War motivated Milton to write several tracts defending liberty and republican ideals. What was John Milton's political affiliation? Option C, Republican. Milton supported the idea of a republican government opposing monarchy. When did Milton die? 1674. Milton passed away on 8 November 1674, London. Which is the first major poem published by Milton? Option C. Comus. What is the main theme of Paradise Lost? Option B. The fall of man and redemption. What genre does Paradise Lost belong to? Option B. Epic poetry. In which language did Milton originally write Paradise Lost? Option C. English. What is the name of character who leads the rebellion against God in Paradise Lost? Satan. Lucifer. Which work of Milton is a defense of free speech and the press? Option B. Aeropagitica, 1644. What type of work is Samson Agonist? A tragedy. Versus tragedy. What is the central theme of Areopagitica? Freedom of speech and expression. Which of Milton's work is based on biblical story of Samson? Samson Agonist. What is the focus of Milton's Paradise Regained? The return of Satan to hell. Option D. Which of Milton's work was written in response to the restoration of Charles II? Option C. The tenure of kings and magistrates. What is the subject matter of Lycidas? The death of Milton's friend Edward King, 1637. In which work does Milton argue against censorship and the licensing of books? Option B. Aeropagitica. What type of work is Comus? 34. Option A. Masque. Which of Milton's work focus on the education of children? Option A. Of education. What is the setting of the What is the setting of Paradise Lost? Hell and heaven. Option C. Which character is Paradise Lost is a heroic figure according to Milton? Option C. Saturn. No. Option A. Adam. What is the literary form used by Milton in Paradise Lost? Blank verse. Which is the shortest of Milton's epic work? Paradise Regained. What was Milton's primary literary influence in his early years? Option B. Virgil. Who criticized Milton's portrayal of Satan in Paradise Lost is as a tragic hero? Option A. William Blake. Which critic argued that Milton's Paradise Lost reflects his political and religious beliefs? Option A. C.S. Lewis. Which critic argued that Milton's Paradise Lost reflects his political and religious beliefs? Option A. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis explored how Milton's work reflects his political and religious views, particularly in Paradise Lost, in his book A Preface to Paradise Lost. Which of the following best describes the style of Milton's Paradise Lost? Philosophical. Milton's style in Paradise Lost is deeply philosophical with reflections on theology, morality, and human nature. What does the character of Satan in Paradise Lost symbolize according to many critics? A freedom of choice and rebellion. Satan's character symbolizes rebellion and the misuse of free will as he challenges divine authority. Which literary figure referred to Milton's Paradise Lost as the greatest poem in the English language? Option A. Samuel Johnson. In his Lives of the Poets, Samuel Johnson, Samuel Johnson praised Paradise Lost as the greatest English epic. Who criticized Milton for making Satan the central figure of Paradise Lost? Option B. John Dryden. Dryden criticized Milton for making Satan an overly compelling and central character. What does the fall of Satan in Paradise Lost symbolize according to many scholars? Option B. The abuse of power and pride. Satan's fall is often interpreted as a metaphor for the consequences of hubris and misuse of authority. Which critic described Paradise Lost as a poem about human responsibility? Option A. C.S. Lewis emphasized that Paradise Lost deals with human responsibility and the consequences of choice. What is the relationship between Adam and Eve in Paradise Lost according to feminist critics? Eve represents the fall of humanity while Adam represents redemption. Feminist critics often discuss how Milton portrays evil Eve as a central to the fall, while Adam's eventual acceptance of responsibility suggests redemption. Which elements which element of Milton's life is often reflected in the themes of Paradise Lost? His blindness. Option A. Milton's blindness deeply influenced his writing, including his reliance on memory and imagination in Paradise Lost. Which concept does Milton emphasize in his epic poem Paradise Lost? Option A, free will and responsibility. Free will is a central theme in Paradise Lost, highlighting the moral responsibility of humans. Which work of Milton is considered his most important political tract? Option B, The Tenure of Kings and Magistrates. This work argued for the right to overthrow a tyrannical ruler and reflects Milton political engagement. What does Areopagitica advocate for? Option B, the end of censorship. In Areopagitica, Milton argued against censorship and for freedom of speech. How does Milton depict the theme of free will in Paradise Lost? Option B, as a divine gift to lead that leads to moral responsibility. What was Milton's view on marriage and expressed in the doctrine and discipline of divorce? He supported divorce for reason of personal happiness. Milton controversially advocated for divorce on ground of incompatibility and personal fulfillment. Who was Milton's main literary influence in his work? Option C, Dante. Dante's epic style and moral vision influenced Milton's early poetic development. Which work of Milton's is considered to be a pastoral elegy? Option A, Lycidas. Lycidas is a pastoral elegy mourning the death of Edward King and reflects themes of loss and divine justice. Which of Milton's works did he write after he lost his eyesight? Option A, Paradise Lost. Milton composed Paradise Lost after losing his eyesight, dictating it to Yeats. Which critic is known for associating Milton's work with political rebellion? Option B, William Blake. Blake famously described Milton as of the devil's party without knowing it, associating him with rebellion. What is the primary philosophical question in Paradise Lost? Option A, the nature of good and evil. The poem delves deeply into the duality of good and evil through its character and events. Which of the following themes is not explored in Paradise Lost? the nature of the universe. Paradise Lost does not explicitly discuss the physical nature of the universe but focuses on theological and moral issues. How does Milton view the concept of free will in Paradise Lost? As a gift that enables humans to choose their fate. Milton emphasizes that free will allows humans to shape their destiny while bearing the consequences. What is the significance of the character of Satan in Paradise Lost? Option A representation of evil and temptation. Satan embodies evil and temptation, seducing humanity into sin. What does Milton's Paradise Lost say about the role of woman in society? Option B. Women have a role to play in the fall and redemption. Eve's role is the central to both humanity fall and the possibility and redemption. What aspects of Milton's life is reflected in the tragic heroism of Samson in Samson Agonists? Option A. His blindness. Samson's blindness and suffering parallel Milton's personal struggle after losing his sight. In which work does Milton explore the theme of personal responsibility? Option A. Samson Agonists. The dramatic poem explores themes of the personal responsibility and redemption. What is Milton's view on the relationship between man and God in Paradise Lost? Option B. Man is a partner and in the divine plan. Milton portrays humanity as having a cooperative role in God's creation based on free will. What does Paradise Lost say about the human condition? Option B. Humans have a potential for both good and evil. The human condition in Paradise Lost reflects this dual potential influenced by free will. Which character in Paradise Lost challenges God, authority, and the most? Option C. Saturn. Saturn is the most direct challenger is God's authority in Paradise Lost. What does the concept of divine justice in Paradise Lost refer to? Option D. The fairness of God's decision and punish Adam and Eve. Divine justice ensures that the punishment fits the transgression and it is tempered by mercy. What role does temptation play in the Paradise Lost? It is the force and that causes the fall of Adam and Eve. Temptation leads to the original sin, highlighting humanity vulnerability. What is the central theme in Paradise Lost? Option C, the conflict between good and evil. The central narrative revolves around the cosmic and moral conflict between opposing forces. What role does reason play in Paradise Lost? Option D, it is a trait that leads to human sin. In Paradise Lost, reason is shown to be susceptible to manipulation and pride. How does Milton Lost address the concept of redemption? Option C, through the repentance of Adam and Eve. Which of Milton's works in approach tract advocating freedom of speech and expression? Option C, Areopagitica. What is the main theme of Milton's Lycidas? The inevitability of death and the hope of redemption. Option C. In Paradise Lost, which book describes the fall of Adam and Eve? Book Option C. Book 9. What is the purpose of Milton's Samson agonists? To depict the struggle between faith and despair. Despair, Nirasa. In Paradise Regained, what aspects of Christ's life does Milton primarily focus on? Option C, his victory over Satan's temptation in the wilderness. Which famous romantic poet was greatly influenced by Milton's Paradise Lost? Option D, Percy Bysshe Shelley. Who in the 18th century criticized Milton's portrayal of Satan as a heroic figure in Paradise Lost? Option A, Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson, in his Lives of the Poets, was critical of Milton's depiction of Satan, questioning the moral implications of making him so charismatic and seemingly heroic. Which 19th century poet used Paradise Lost as a source of inspiration for his own works? Option A, William Wordsworth. Wordsworth drew inspiration from Milton's sublime style and themes, particularly in the prelude, as he admired Milton's grandeur and moral depth. What literary device is most commonly used by Milton in Paradise Lost? Option C, metaphor. Milton's epics abounds in grand metaphors, including those describing Satan's fall, the creation of the world, and the moral struggle of humankind. What of Milton's work is considered an example of a masque? Option A. Comus. Comus. In Milton's Paradise Lost, how is the creation of the world depicted? Option A. As an act of divine will and power. As an act of divine will and power, Milton portrays creation as an extension of God, omnipotence, and love reflecting divine order and purpose. Which of the following critics described Paradise Lost as a poem of human suffering? Option C. C.S. Lewis. How does Milton depict the relationship between Adam and Eve in Paradise Lost? As a relationship based on mutual dependency. Option D. While Milton portrays Eve as subordinate to Adam, their relationship is also shown as one of mutual love and reliance. Who is the what is the major theme of Milton's Samson agonists? The heroism of personal sacrifice. Samson agonists explore themes and of redemption, personal sacrifice, and the restoration of faith through Samson's tragic yet redemptive journey. How does Milton view the concept of divine providence in his work? Option B, as a force that allows for free will. In Paradise Lost, what is Satan's view of the fall of heaven? Option C, a glorious rebellion. Satan justifies his fall as a noble act of defiance against what he perceives as tyranny, famously declaring, "Better go to reign in the hell than serve in heaven." Which of the following best describes Milton's political beliefs as expressed in his writing? Option B, advocacy for individual freedom and republicanism. Milton's political tracts, such as the Tenure of Kings and Magistrate, reveal his support for republican values and opposition to monarchy. What does Milton argue about the nature of censorship in Areopagitica? Option B, the freedom of speech is essential to human progress. In Areopagitica, Milton vehemently opposed censorship, advocating for intellectual freedom and free exchange of ideas. Which of Milton's works addresses the topic of education? Option C, of education. In Of Education, Milton outlined his vision for a comprehensive educational system that develops moral, intellectual, and physical faculties. What was the main message of Milton's Areopagitica? Option B, arguing for the freedom of the press and against censorship. Milton's Areopagitica is a powerful defense of free speech written in response to the licensing order of 1643. In Paradise Lost, how does Milton portray the rebellion of Satan and his followers? As an act of unwarranted pride and ambition. Option D. Satan's rebellion is rooted in pride and ambition, which Milton critiques as destructive and against divine order. What is the significance of the heavenly muse invoked by Milton at the beginning of Paradise Lost? Option A. It symbolizes divine inspiration and poetic guidance. Milton invokes the muse, align himself with classical epic tradition while seeking divine inspiration for his Christian themes. What theme does Milton explore in his poem Lycidas? The loss of a loved one and the search for redemption. Option A. Lycidas is a pastoral elegy mourning the death of Edward King, blending personal grief with theological reflection. Which aspects which aspects of Milton's personal life is reflected in his poem Lycidas? Option B. The death of his friend Edward King. The death of his friend Edward King. Lycidas was written as an elegy for Milton's friend and fellow poet Edward King, who drowned at the sea in Irish Sea. This is Lost Horsen poem. Also called monody. I hope you like this session. Do subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thanks for watching. Stay curious and keep exploring. This is part 1 series.